Fuck you!
Hey, fuck you, man!
Straight up, man. Fuck.
I'm a motherfucking gangster!
Bitch. 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 Shit.
Fuck ass nigga! Fuck that pussy! Hey, man. I will beat your mama with a front door. Freak! Vagina! Vagina! Smell like coochie rap!
You know that bitch. Motherfucking rock.
Get your bitch ass back!
This is Moses from MGTOW Mafia. Thank you for tuning into our video. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button because you're in for a very special video today. We're going to be honoring the late Stephen Hawking. In his memory, we're going to be discussing recent women in the news who have stepped on men and children to support their gold-digging habits. First, let's please honor the distinguished physicist, Stephen Hawking. He died Wednesday at 76 years old at his home in Cambridge, England. Hawking was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. When he was 21, he suffered from the debilitating disease for the rest of his life. Confined to a wheelchair and incapable of speaking, he nevertheless became one of science's greatest stars, a physicist as famous as Albert Einstein. But amidst the glory, there were dark rumors of abuse at the hands of Hawking's second wife, Elaine Mason. They first met in the 1980s, during her years working as one of his caretakers. The pair grew close, and she left her husband of 15 years, David Mason, and their two children. Hawking had already separated from his first wife more than 25 years, Jane Hawking, in 1990. Following their divorce in 1995, he married Mason Hawking, and Mason eventually divorced 11 years later. It's unclear what led to their separation, but rumors of Mason's alleged abuse surfaced after Hawking sustained multiple mysterious injuries over a period of several years during their marriage. Mason was also accused of leaving him to urinate on himself, allowing him to suffer heat stroke and breaking his wrist. Witnesses even said that they saw Mason engage in vulgarity-strewn explosions directed at her husband. Vanity Fair reported. In defense of Mr. Stephen Hawking, anyone with a quarter of a brain can see that Mason monkey-branched full of hypergamy over to Mr. Stephen Hawking so she could better her life. But obviously she didn't love Mr. Hawking. She was just gold digging, using him for money. Shame on Mason. But unfortunately, that is how a lot of women are today. It is hard enough for a healthy man to deal with a woman watching his money and watching it so he doesn't get screwed over. But could you imagine a man who is debilitated, who is sick, who is confined to a wheelchair? Then the woman marries him for his assets. She takes the money, abuses him, and then she runs. So once again, if a man is disabled or sick, and a female says to that man that he ought to marry her, that she will take care of him in his older age, never believe that female. Instead, hire a certified practitioner or somebody that you know. Shame, shame, shame on evil feminist Elaine Mason. In honor of the late great Stephen Hawking, let's move on and discuss a feminist female recently mentioned in the news. Carrie Carmen was her name. The title says, "Woman arrested for allegedly throwing popcorn and hitting toddler with container during movie." It says the toddler suffered a bruise to the head. A New York woman was arrested after she allegedly dumped her popcorn on a 2-year-old at the movies and then hit the toddler in the head with the container. Police said that the unidentified toddler went to a movie in Levittown, New York in January and asked her mom for popcorn during the show. Carrie Carmen, 25, reportedly told the child to be quiet. The child's mom then told Carmen not to talk to her daughter, and Carmen allegedly started to yell and cursed at the mother and daughter. Carmen dumped her own popcorn on the child and struck her with the container. Carmen and her father, 61-year-old Charles Carmen, who was at the theater with, both fled after the incident. Police said the toddler suffered a bruise to her head. Both of the Carmens are charged with endangering the welfare of a child. The main point of this story that you guys should get is the psychology of a female. Most females do not care about other females' children. In fact, they are usually cold and callous towards another female's children. Guys, you need to be careful if you have sons. Be especially careful of your sons if you are around other females, because I've seen this pattern over and over. Females tend to yell at other people's sons more so than their own sons. Have you ever happened to have the unfortunate problem with a strange lady in your neighborhood having a problem with one or more of your sons? This is most likely due to a narcissistic female behavior built into her DNA. Guys, be protective when it comes to your sons. If there's a woman in the neighborhood who has a problem with one or more of your sons, it is probably not your boy's fault. Female neighbors and female teachers tend to have more problems with boys because boys are more active and they naturally have more energy and they need to move around. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong is that the female may be a psychopathic, narcissistic moron in deep need of a therapist. Our next fucked up female ready for discussion is Brooke Rosendale. She was an Ohio teacher sentenced last Wednesday to 3 years in prison for sexual battery after she pleaded guilty to having sex with a 13-year-old female student. Brooke Rosendale was a 5th grade intervention specialist and a girls' volleyball and basketball coach at Riverdale School in Ohio. According to an arrest report obtained by People, Rosendale had sexual contact with a teen in January and February of 2017. The incidents did not happen on school grounds. According to the arrest report, Rosendale was not the girl's teacher, but they had met through the school's extracurricular programs. Rosendale, 27, was engaged to her long-term boyfriend when the incidents occurred. In March 2017, the teen's parents reported the incidents to the school district. After the Hancock County Sheriff's Office launched a criminal probe, Rosendale resigned from her position. She also relinquished her teaching certificate. Let me take a guess what created this liberal monster of a teacher, Brooke Rosendale. I'm sure she went through a very liberal, highly feminized, indoctrinated school system herself. So they probably pushed the feminism on her, pushed the lesbianism on her. When she graduated, she probably felt entitled to practice whatever behaviors she felt like having, and she probably got away with many immoral behaviors before this one, just like all the women that were mentioned in this video. I'm going to bring this video to a close because there are other females in the news recently that need to be exposed, and no need to make this video too long. So what I'm going to do is include them in our next video, and that will be named in honor of Stephen Hawking Part 2. So be on the lookout. Thank you for watching my video. If you haven't hit the subscribe and like button, please do that now. Smash that like button like you would love to smash these evil feminists off the face of the earth. So long for now. This is Moses from MGTOW Mafia. Bye-bye now.
Fuck you!